that are not designated school zones. We can only install these systems in designated school zones. So Red Speed is going to work hand in hand with your city staff in order to get the county, the state, whichever jurisdiction it is, in order to get those school zones designated. They should be designated. These are just some of the highlights of the state law. Like I said, House Bill 657 is statewide, obviously. It must be a designated school zone. We will be doing the installation of the signage, which is required by the law when you enter. It is only a $100 fine, and I say only because when I used to write tickets, 10 miles per hour, we cannot enforce it. They have to be going at least 10 miles over the speed limit in order to get one of these citations. 10 miles per hour from a police officer, and I know that my brothers here in Blue will back me up on this, 10 miles per hour in a school zone over the speed limit is not only points, because there's no points for these civil violations, but it's probably close to $400. So the fact that it's only $100 is, I hate to say it, but it's a bargain for the violator. They can be enforced, we enforce 30 minutes before school starts or 30 minutes before a breakfast program. Most public schools have a breakfast program, so it's whichever is earlier, throughout the entire day to 30 minutes after the end of the school zone. And then what gets cited is depending on what the speed limit is at the exact time that it gets, that the violator commits the violation. This is a little bit about us, like I've kind of already mentioned. We basically handle from the start to the finish, from permitting, engineering, construction of the equipment, working with the different jurisdictions, whether it's a state road, county road, or just your city road, making sure that all of our technical aspects of this are completed, and then we begin the mandatory warning period and educational campaign, which we complete. We do from start to finish. And then, like I said, we have demonstrated over the years, especially in Georgia, where we have some proven results. These programs work.
Right, go back a slide.
Oh,
Hey, go back one more. No, I think you missed a very important point that we focused on, the last point on the right-hand side. Whatever our portion of the fine is must be used to fund local law enforcement incentives. And I think that's very important for the public to understand. This just isn't going into the black hole of a general fund. This is dedicated, statutorily mandated to law enforcement initiatives.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, the way that the way they wrote it into the statute was it has to be utilized for public safety initiatives, and then it allows you as the council of the city to define that. They don't put definitions on what public safety is, but yes, absolutely, it has to be used for public safety initiatives. I believe a little bit further in the slide is the breakdown of the $100 and where each one goes, and so we'll see this one more time. This we're very proud of. The Florida Police Chiefs Association, we are the only vendor that has been endorsed by the Florida Police Chiefs Association. We're a preferred vendor. Our senior vice president, Greg Parks, worked hand in hand with the Florida Police Chiefs Association the 3 years leading up to the passage of this bill in order to get this bill passed. Really modeled after the Georgia bill. It's very similar. It's almost exact. And so because of that, those efforts and just all of the things and the vetting process that they put all the vendors through, we're very proud of this endorsement. And for transparency's sake, I'm very involved with the Florida Police Chiefs Association. I still serve on their awards committee and on their public partnership committee. And I was a past president of the Day Chiefs Association, so I have a lot of ties still with the Florida Police Chiefs. But we're very proud of this preferred partner designation. Our cameras are industry leading. We use, like it says there, LED illumination. We don't have any flash on our equipment, so there's no flash when someone drives by. Color video day and night, high definition, all of the latest technologies that are out there. One thing that I know police departments, and my police department loves this as well, is our ability to integrate with Flock. Flock is a license plate reader. And so for every camera system that you get from us, we will be supplying a Flock LPR camera to go along with it. So I think we were calculating, what did we say? It was like 40-something, 20-something? 24, I believe. So we're going to be eventually 24 cameras, unless we actually get the extra 5 speed zones, then it might be a little bit more. There'll be 24 LPRs to go with that. That is an invaluable tool for your police department. I'm sure I don't have to tell you that, but I'll say that, in my time as when I was the major of criminal investigations in Miami Beach, we had phenomenal success rate in apprehensions because of our extensive video camera system and our license plate readers. It's an invaluable tool for the police department to reduce crime because those networks talk to each other, and they know. Okay, don't go here because you're going to get caught either on the camera or your license plate. I'm going to skip this video. It's about 4 minutes long, but it basically
Florida is the most
says everything that I've just said. Community benefits, obviously it improves the school safety. That's the given. It does. It's not about the money. I like to say it's not about the money, but you do get money coming in based on the violations that are captured. And it eliminates costs for the municipality because there's absolutely zero cost to you all in order to put get these up and running. The benefits to the police department really, I think, is even outweighs the community benefits. It's a force multiplier. It puts an additional eyes out there. So now the law says that you cannot use the speed cameras for active surveillance. However, you can use it for incidental issues. So, for example, if something was to happen in the school zone and one of our cameras captured it, the benefit of Red Speed is we have video as opposed to still photography for our violations, and we keep video for up to 45 days. So if there was an incident that was being investigated by the police department, all they would have to do is, all they would have to do is actually they'll be trained on how to just go into the system and pull down, look first to see if they find what they're looking for, and if they do, they'll be able to pull it down and utilize that as evidence. So that's huge. Officer safety. We all know that the most dangerous thing a police officer does is pull a car over. So by utilizing these systems in your school zones, these officers are not going to be exposed to having to pull cars over unless they want extra visibility in the school zones, because you're going to have a system in place and a technology in place that's going to do it for them. That also adds an equality type of mentality, because it's not going to matter. If the car's going 10 or plus, they're going to get a citation. It doesn't matter who's driving. And then we spoke already about the benefits of the license plate reader for your police department. So here's the breakdown of the funds. I think this is important for everybody to just make sure you completely understand. So the fine is $100. $60 goes to the municipality, and from that $60 is where Red Speed gets our portion. So what we do is we get $21 of the 60, and so the municipality will get 39. Now, I believe you all manage your own crossing guard program, right? So you will get that additional 5. So the municipality will end up getting 44 of the 100. $20 goes to the state general fund. $3 goes to the Florida Department of Law Enforcement's Criminal Justice and Training Fund, which is depleted every year. They're always trying to look for funding for that. And then $12 will go to the Miami-Dade public school system. So that is the breakdown of the monies. And as we spoke earlier and we said earlier, the money that you all get has to be utilized for public safety. And the money that the school district gets, they also have to utilize it for safety initiatives, pedestrian safety, those kinds of things. So they put a lot of thought into the distribution of the funds and what they could be used for. As I've mentioned a couple of times, it is a turnkey system from the point where we're at now, where we're going to start with the engineering all the way through the program. To include, and I will show this little short video in a second here, but to include a public awareness campaign, what for me is very important. You really got to let your residents know that this is coming. And so one of the things that we do is an extensive communications plan, and we will work hand in hand with the city in doing this, including hosting a virtual type meeting that we can invite whomever it is that you all would like to invite. That could be principals, it could be parents, it could be whomever you all want. Just as a side note, I already have a very good relationship with the school districts. We've already have partnerships. I actually went to the police academy with the police chief for Miami-Dade Public Schools, and we've already been in communication with those safety director who will notify every school as we come online. He's helping me to notify all the principals so that they're aware and that they can blast the flyers that we're going to prepare for you, and it's going to have your branding. Red Speed's nowhere on any of this branding. It's going to be strictly City of Homestead branding. That it'll be emailed out to the parents, to all the different distribution groups, and we will help and design that. One of the things that we are very proud of is the public service announcement that we will produce. We will bring a videographer down here to the city, and working in conjunction with your manager's office, we'll figure out what it is we want to do. The example that I'm going to show you is from the city of Pinecrest. Right now, live in Dade County is the city of Pinecrest, city of South Miami, and we've launched the first batch of the first phase of the Miami-Dade County public schools, unincorporated public schools. They have over 200 schools that we're bringing online. We're doing them in phases. So this is, what you're going to see here real quick is the PSA that we filmed for Pinecrest. What I like about them is that they incorporated some of the principals from their schools to talk about the program and what the benefits are of the program.
School zone speed cameras have been proven to reduce speeds and improve safety around our schools. Our speed enforcement cameras are located at our public schools and at Gulliver Preparatory Academy, True North Academy, and Ram Bam Day School at Temple Beth Am.
We want our students and our families to know that we are watching out for our children, and we're doing that in all aspects while they're out of school, coming to school, and inside of the school.
Drivers will be notified with signs that photo enforcement is being utilized in the area. School cameras are active whenever school is in session. Enforcement hours begin 30 minutes before the start of the school day and continue until 30 minutes after school ends. Drivers traveling in excess of 10 miles per hour will be cited. The notice of violation is a civil penalty. It will be mailed to the vehicle's registered owner, and it includes a $100 fine. The driver's license will not incur any points, and it won't affect your insurance either. The Village of Pinecrest will retain 60% of the funds to administer the speed detection system program.
It's just going to build a safer and better Village of Pinecrest. Be part of the team that's going to make this community bigger, better, and safer.
The Pinecrest Police Department encourages all drivers, especially in school zones, to put down their phone, pay attention to the roadways, and be a responsible driver.
And we'll tailor that message however we all decide, however you all decide that you want it to look like, and whoever you want to be involved in that. So here's our projected timeline for implementation. Conservatively, I always say it's 60, 90 days from issuance of permits. There are a lot of variables depending on the specific location of where the system is going to go, the school zone. There's also a lot of variables when it comes to the power, finding sources of power from Florida Power and Light. And then once we get to the point where we're done with construction, ready to flip the switch, getting that switch flipped on sometimes, especially after this very busy hurricane season that Florida Power and Light had, has been a bit of a challenge. We do have some alternatives, and if we get to that point, we'll discuss that with the city manager's office and make those decisions. But this is a generic timeline as to where we are envisioning to be come mid-January, late January, when we get back from holiday break, to at least have started the 30-day warning period that's required. And during that 30-day warnings, violators only get just a warning piece of paper that says, hey, you got caught. They don't get cited. And then afterwards, we will start. So as I mentioned early at the beginning, the proven results, 90% reduction. We've seen that continuously year after year in Georgia. We've got over 70 clients in Georgia. We've been there for almost 6 years. We've got over 70% of that market up there. And so the repeat offenders, only 10%, and then year-on-year improvements of 25%. So those are really good numbers. That's getting to where we want to get to, which is really no speeding in school zones. This is just some of the statistics and data that we've seen in some of our bigger clients in Georgia, Alpharetta, Gwinnett, Henry County, and Roswell. As you can see, they're high 90% reductions. That is me, and I am open for questions if you have any. I want to congratulate the firemen. Can I congratulate the firemen that won the Fireman of the Year? I got in the wrong line 30 years ago at the convention center when I went to apply. I should have gotten in the fire line, but I got in the police line. But it's okay. I'm blessed.
Council? Councilwoman Bailey.
Thank you, Mayor. A couple questions to clarify. So I assumed that these violations would happen only during that school zone time. So explain what happens when it's past that half an hour, the children are in school, it would be 10 miles over what the regular posted speed limit is?
It's always 10 miles over. So if it's the 15-mile-an-hour flasher time, then the trigger is 20. We program it at 11 miles because radar and laser, you always give a plus or minus 1 mile per hour in the calibration. So if the speed limit is 15 miles per hour during the flasher times, it'll be 26 miles per hour, the trigger. And then let's say that speed limit, that school zone goes to 30, then the trigger will be 41 and more and over. And really the intent of the legislature for doing it the entire school day is kids are coming and going with parents all day long. And really 40 plus miles per hour, 10 miles per hour over around a school, which most schools are residential areas anyways, it's way too fast, way too fast. So that's the intent.
No, I'm happy to hear it. You mentioned the handful of schools that are not currently designated. The ones that are designated, do they all have the flashing lights?
I believe they do. I know that some may have some issues.
Can I come in? So yesterday, we sent a letter to Miami-Dade County Public Works Director asking for a comprehensive review of all designated school zones in the city of Homestead to ensure for maintenance of traffic and all the signalization and signage are proper, and to ask for an upgrade if there's any malfunctioning or ineffective or inefficient signage. In addition, we also ask for those 3 school locations that have 5 corridors without flashers to also be considered for upgrades so that they can qualify in phase 2 of your deployments.
And I'm not sure, Mr. Manager, if you know this, but one of the benefits, our contract with Miami-Dade County is with Public Works. So my direct contact at Miami-Dade County is Director of Public Works for their contract. So the ability to assist any of our other clients in Miami-Dade County when it comes to the flashers and the signage and all that should be facilitated.
Super, because I would like to see that any of the areas with the cameras has the flashing lights. There are many times you just make a turn, you don't know you're in that area yet. So to be fair
And in addition, ma'am, there's also other additional signage that is required at every entry point to wherever the cameras are going to be running. That I don't know if you saw it on the video. It says speed enforcement, photo enforcement, and then we put the times. That half hour, before and half hour, so they know what times.
Specific to each of the schools.
For each school
Super.
zone, it's going to have its time frame.
No, perfect. The other thing I was going to mention is that we make sure that we get some type of campaign out to the principals to share, so I'm glad to see that. And very lastly, it is my first time dropping off at a high school this school year, and it's a whole nother world. Okay. So it's not pick up and drop offline, it's children just running wild. So I would like to suggest that one of our first initiatives that we do with these funds is explain to some of these high schoolers what jaywalking means, because it is a nightmare. All they do is they just walk across the street, and then the turning lane misses their opportunity to go, and it's just a backed up mess.
And I would imagine that educating for public safety reasons would definitely fall within the public safety.
I would assume so too. It's not only good for while they're in school, but hopefully leading to smarter decisions as
Yes, ma'am.
adults. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, and I know the Vice Mayor wants to speak, but along that line, Councilwoman, I saw that a portion of this goes to the school board for improvement of walking conditions. And I would imagine that a lot of you get some of those same emails that I do, that why aren't there sidewalks in these areas where school children are walking to school? So that would be a really nice thing to be able to partner with them and tap into those funds for sidewalk construction where they don't exist.
Definitely. It took Cohen-Higgins' office over 3 months to cut the grass. The kids were having to walk on the road for an entire block. And yeah, definitely.
Mr. Vice Mayor.
Yes, thank you. And one of my questions has already been answered in regards to the times, because I noticed the wonderful world of social media. There's a lot of people out there that talk about different times of getting tickets in the middle of the day. So with that, time changes, spring, fall, you know, we got to make sure that that happens, because I think the flashing lights is a big problem with the county at those time periods. They tend not to change immediately, so they don't get recalibrated. So we need to make sure that happens. I'd asked this of staff previously. I noticed you do have some private schools in Pinecrest that have this. So we have a couple of small private schools here within the city of Homestead that we need to look at designating those as school zones. Methodist, Catholic school, there's a couple of places we could look at. I know I've spoken with our district commissioner in regards to expansion of the school zone around Homestead Senior High School on the westbound lanes of Palm Drive. But if that happens in the future, you're able to come and add that?
Absolutely.
And I was looking at your map in regards to some of your speed zone testing when you did it, on the radar location on East Palm Drive on the eastbound lanes typically is not part of the school zone because it's a divided road. So the eastbound lanes heading out typically are not part of the school zone. The speed limit's 45 miles an hour, but coming westbound, it's 15. So we just need to make sure that they're in the proper locations.
Which school was that, sir? 'Cause I don't have it in
That's
front of me, but I'll-
Keysgate Charter School. You had a radar location on both east and west.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. Which one?
Keysgate Charter
Keys,
School.
got it, okay.
I'll be happy to
Yep, no, I got
talk to you about it.
Thank you.
Are we still going to do personnel enforcement with our police officers as well? Very important that we're still visible out there and being seen. And with that, I can't wait to get this started. I think it's a great opportunity for all of us. Thank you.
Real quick, and I know Councilwoman Abbott wants to speak. If you have the lifts there at hand, is St. John's on there?
It's not.
That's one, and that is a marked and flashed speed zone. And that is a target-rich environment on Northeast 11th Street and that whole block.
And we can definitely, if there's any schools that were not on there, we could definitely go back and do studies on them again. Or not again, we haven't done it yet, so we'll definitely get them done. I just need to, we'll definitely get it done, sir.
All right, Councilwoman.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, thank you for mentioning the private schools. It's very important that we try to keep all these areas safe for our children. Question regarding the portion of the funds that goes to Miami-Dade County Public School. Are those funds earmarked for, to be spent in the areas that generated the funds?
That is an excellent question.
I'm sure I'm not the only one that's asked.
You're not the only one that has asked it, and not the only county that has asked it. I know off the top of my head, Palm Beach County, also a couple of clients there are inquiring that as well. So the law doesn't specify that. However, we are advocating and in communications with the different county school districts to figure out a way to get that done.
Can that be stipulated within our contract?
I don't believe so.
Well,
I
can we-
guess statute governs that, and they
Yeah,
deal with
statute
their money.
overrides.
Okay.
But
the statute
we,
overrides.
I would
But
assume.
I'm not an attorney, so.
We would have a way to know what fines went to the school board from the homestead school
I'll-
zones and make a case for,
I'll say this,
it's kind of
We-
like
we
the
need to
road
include
fees we're
that.
doing.
Right, so I would like to make sure that we have some kind of, during our maybe quarterly reviews, as we're identifying the funds that are coming in, that we are questioning and asking for accountability of those funds being sent to the county and how we're planning to request utilization of that.
and.
So would you
and-
be the person assisting us?
Oh, I'll
and,
definitely assist you, for sure. Yeah,
Okay,
absolutely,
thank
ma'am. I have a couple of clients in Miami-Dade that have opted for us to move the money over to the school district. In cooperation with the school district, we've set this up. And when we do that, it designates which of our clients that money is for, and the reporting that we do specifies how much exactly went to the school board for City X. So there might be a way to get that accomplished, but that will have to be a discussion with the school board.
Great, thank you. And then maybe it was in a slide, but with regards to capture rate, let's say 1,000 cars are exceeding the speed limit, how many do the cameras pick up? 100%? 50%?
Well, I don't say 100% because that wouldn't be accurate. Because there are a lot of variables why we would capture. Well, one of the benefits of Red Speed is we have video, right? We don't take pictures, we have video. So in terms of the way that we review the violations before the police department reviews it, it affords our reviewers the opportunity, if they need to go front and back in the video in order to capture the license plate. Now, if a license plate is illegible, some people cover the license plate, or they've got something on it that makes it so that cameras can't pick it up, or it's just a really bad license plate, or for whatever reason, the camera was shaking that day, or it was a windy day. There's a lot of variables and reasons why it's not 100%. However, because we have video, that is a 30 or 40% higher capture rate when you compare it to just just a photo still. But I'd have to ask to see what the capture rate is.
Yeah, I'd be interested to know about that. And then with regards to our call for principals, when we do that call, I appreciate my colleague, mentioning support for it. Let's also ask if there's interest in any of those principals to be part of that video launch. So that'd be a great opportunity there. When a violator receives a citation, is there a link to the camera footage and to a picture
Yes,
that
ma'am.
they can immediately go to? They don't have to request for an appeal in order to
Correct.
see that? Okay, great. All right, so I would appreciate the information to come back, but I do support the item. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Back to the Vice Mayor.
Just quickly to the city manager and staff, the funds that come in, will this be one of those things like we talked about to have a special trust fund for these funds to the city, and therefore it's set aside specifically for it in an interest-bearing account that we can spend on those public safety items?
I think, Council Vice Mayor, I think the legislation, the state statute is very clear that it's for public safety. So we couldn't really, I know where you're going, but I don't think this captures that. Okay?
There's also an annual requirement of the city that we will provide the data for, but you're going to have to show at a public hearing how you used the funds.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that is written into the statute. So I think they were trying to really improve on the red light camera statute, transparency-wise. And so they put in a lot of things into this legislation that it really makes it very difficult to challenge. In fact, just in terms of challenges, for administrative hearings, if someone wants to request an administrative hearing, we're seeing that that's only 2% of the violators, 1%, 2% of the violators request administrative hearing. The vast majority pay. I think there's a lot of reasons for that, but,
And those that decide not to pay, what happens?
If they completely ignore the violation, then it'll eventually convert into a uniform traffic citation. No points still, but a uniform traffic citation. And then what we've done is we implement, a reminder system, so. You're welcome, sir.
Well, and would that morph into that when it comes time to renew their driver's licenses, they've got to pay it in order to renew a car registration or driver's
No,
license?
unfortunately, that's written into the red light camera statute. They left that out. And I know that, we're trying to amend that in Tallahassee. Right now, the only alternative would be sending it to collections if they just completely blow it off. Now, in terms of the magistrate here for the administrative hearings, the law allows for you to charge up to $250 for someone to request an administrative hearing. So if somebody doesn't show up and that magistrate imposes that $250 administrative cost, now collections is $350, and that becomes a little bit more manageable in terms of the collection side.
Very good, thank you. Councilman Roth.
Thank you, Mayor. So many cool little integral parts of this thing, right? So if you've ever had a red light camera ticket, I was going to ask for a show of hands, but I won't do that to see who's ever had one before. But you do get to review it online, and you're like, no, I didn't run that red light. Yes, you did. You did. And before you even get the citation with the red light ticket cameras, is it similar with this program that our officers will review each of the citations that you guys suggest to be issued before they issue those?
Yes, sir. It goes through basically 3 reviews before a violation is issued. 2 internally with us, so an initial reviewer, a supervisor reviewer, just to make sure. And then it goes to the police department in our back-end system called Red Check, where they will have a police review bucket, so to speak, that they go through. And then they also, they're the ones issuing the violation, so they confirm, yes, in fact, that is a violation. Now, there is another nuance in the law, which is interesting, is that the rebuttable presumption in the law is that as long as our equipment was functioning when the violation was issued, it's valid. Right. And in order to get to that level, the law requires a monthly check of the equipment and an annual certification. We do the annual certification, and we do a daily check as opposed to a monthly check. So every day before our cameras start enforcement, they do an internal check, and after they do a post-check. And as long as those things are working, the rebuttable presumption is you're speeding. Right? You're still speeding.
Sure. And then as far as like the promotional video, the only thing that stood out to me that was a little bit not transparent was that the city receives or the municipality receives 60% of the ticket. We do get that 60%, and the assumption is that we get to use that 60% for the law enforcement initiatives. Maybe a different way to word that, because if somebody actually requests a public records, we're not actually using that 60% for those initiatives because we're paying that 35% out to your service. So maybe just come up with a different way to present that to the public.
We can work with the manager. We don't have final say on the script of the PSA. You all do. So you all have final say on the script for the PSA. However you all want it to sound, we will do.
And then you guys had mentioned St. John's, and I travel back and forth 11th Street quite often, and our officers are out there from time to time during the school zone times pulling people over. So I have witnessed it myself.
I'm going to put my assistant chief's hat back on for just a minute. There is a tremendous value in the high visibility aspect of the officers, but this just allows the chief to reallocate if he has to, because he knows that he's going to have enforcement still in the zone. But tremendous value in having your police officers visible.
So let me ask the manager then. So we're going to have dedicated staff to review these videos. And based on your numbers, we may have thousands per month to review. So is the cost of bringing people on to review this going to have you run some models as to whether or not the cost of review will exceed that 44% that we're ultimately getting?
So I think it's something that PD is going to look into in terms of resource allocation, as well as internal reorganization of task assignments. If there is any overreach in terms of costs exceeding city's budgetary impact, then we may have to do a review in terms of what we have to do. And perhaps even get involved with our lobbyists for perhaps next legislative year to ask for a review of this Florida statute.
So another nuance in the law, it doesn't have to be a sworn officer, it just has to be a traffic enforcement. So in my department, we call them PSAs. I don't know what you guys have here. CSAs? CSAs. It doesn't have to be a sworn officer. So in terms of a cost perspective, when you're looking at that, however, I can pretty much guarantee you, your personnel cost is not going to exceed the revenue.
Okay. Hold you to it. That's right. Yes, Councilwoman.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, I am concerned about the cost, so I'm interested in getting that report back as well. On non-school days, this is off?
It's off. The enforcement is off.
All right, so they're safe next week for Thanksgiving, I know.
For Thanksgiving, yes.
We're going live when? After Christmas?
Probably into January.
Mid-January-ish. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right,
Yes.
thank you.
We program in the back end. It's one of the onboarding processes. We get the calendars for the different schools. Well, the public schools is easy because it's a singular calendar, but for St. John's and the private schools, we get individual calendars for them, and we program that into their specific cameras, so it knows in advance. Like, something pops up, so when we had hurricane come through, that's go in, and in 2 seconds, I turn off the cameras for that specific day.
And who do I complain to when the signs start to fade or fall down or bent over to the side?
The signage?
Yes.
Oh, we can help with that as well.
Call you?
If you'd like to,
Okay, thank you.
you can absolutely call me.
Well, you're talking about the photo enforced signage, you know.
Any of the
Dealing
signage
with the
involved.
county is a constant
Well, I can-
battle.
Correct. So, it's just
I can
another
help you.
sign that I have to be looking out for.
Again, because of our relationship, my relationship with Miami-Dade County, I can help.
Thank you.
You know, we have a new the old director's leaving.
The who? Yeah, I worked with the
The incoming?
COO,
Okay.
was my city manager, and the interim was my transportation director at Miami.
Okay.
So
Very good.
I know them very well.
All right, so let's open the public hearing very quickly on the second reading of this item. None appearing, I'll close the public hearing.
We have one online,
We
Mayor.
have one online. Go
Uh,
ahead.
Ram.
Are you there?
It's Ram, Romero, 2040 Southeast 19th Street. I have a question in regards to the red light, but before that, council, I want to acknowledge you guys. You guys are doing an amazing job. Keep up the great work. We're all excited and happy with what you guys are delivering as a council as a whole. Thank you for that. Now, in regards to the red light cameras, because that's what it sounds like, that we're bringing back the red light cameras even after the public voted out because they weren't happy with the process. And in regards to your studies at Keysgate, at Gateway, and at Keysgate High School, I want to know when exactly were those studies done? Who did those studies? And because it's a little misleading because I don't know if you actually been to Keysgate 15 minutes before school or after school. You can't speed there. It's impossible. So I just want to know what roads were the studies were conducted and what have you. And then how often are these cameras calibrated? Because, of course, like every other radar that the cops have, they need to be calibrated. How often are they calibrated? And the appeal process, because you guys didn't touch on that. I mean, I hear, yes, 2% appeal, but what's the process? Who holds those hearings? Is it Homestead PD? Is it code? Or is it the county? Who is it that holds those appeals? Because you're going to have a lot of appeals, and that's more manpower that you're going to need in the city to review. So if you can please answer those questions, that would be great.
And what we can do, Ramiro, is we'll get you the whole agenda packet on this item that shows you the study areas, when they were studied, how they were studied. And I also suspect in here that's probably some detail as to the appeal process. Is that correct?
I don't think there's anything in that agenda packet in terms of the appeals, but the appeals is very simple. If someone gets a notice of violation and they wish to appeal it to the magistrate, we provide all the information on the notice of violation. They can mail in the request, they can call in the request, and then it would come in front of a magistrate that to be determined in terms of the once a month, once every other month. And then that's where that up to $250 administrative costs can be assessed to cover the cost of the magistrate for the city.
Good, very good. Did you hear that, Ramiro?
So you're saying that it's going to be the Homestead PD who determines the appeal process. So that's more manpower, and then you're going to add an additional $250 to the appellant when it comes to that hearing. So and actually, it's going to end up being $350 if you appeal it. Is that what I'm hearing?
No, there will be a magistrate process. It is not dedicated to being the police department. You know, you may be familiar with the process we have with respect to code enforcement violations, where folks can come in and we have a special master that hears each case. That can be scheduled, that is a process yet to be determined, but that is not going to pull someone out of the police department to do that. Many times it's a citizen volunteer with training. And
how often? Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
And how often are they calibrated?
I'm told daily.
Well, we do internal checks daily, and then by law we have to calibrate them once a year, which we do. And we use the same calibrating company out of Jacksonville that at least my department used. I think the one in Jacksonville. Many of the police departments in South Florida use the same calibrating company.
Okay, so we're told that, that internally they do a daily calibration in-house and review of the system, but by statute, they're only required to have it done independently once a year.
Gotcha. And what days exactly, specifically, are they off? Are they turned off?
They're only on when school is in session. So they are
off Monday through Friday between 8 a.m. and 4 p.m.?
Depending upon the hours of the school.
Yeah, depending on the school's hours. Half hour before and half hour after, depending on the
But not during the weekend? Okay. Okay. Right. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Here's the tip, Ramiro. Just slow down. You won't have a problem.
Funny. I don't sleep. I just want to know because there's going to be a lot of questions in regards to, because many of the residents years back voted the red light cameras out because it wasn't a fair process. And this kind of smells like that. So I just give me the heads up that you kind of get some feedback from the residents, especially in Keysgate, because in Keysgate, not only do you have off-duty office, but it's impossible to speed there in school zone. I mean, 30 minutes before and 30 minutes after, I don't think your studies were done in between that time period. I think it was done after that because it's impossible to speed there. I mean, I live here, and trust me, I see it every day.
All right, we'll get the agenda packet information to you, though, about the methodology and when and where these preliminary surveys were done that determined the number of speeders during school hours.
I appreciate that, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Good night. Anyone else? Yes.
Do you ever do the cameras? Oh, you didn't close.
Brandy, come on in.
I just want to mention that this shows the quality of what our new city manager and the staff is bringing to City of Homestead. I feel that residents of Homestead is going to appreciate this safety for the children in the schools. I hope you guys can consider including these Jardine community schools that house a lot of families in the areas, especially the one off of US 1. But this is amazing. This is just quality things that you guys are bringing as a team, as a whole, and with your city manager and the amazing City of Homestead staff. These are the things that residents are looking for. You guys are putting priority safety. And what I did love is the key that the police are going to continue to be at the schools. That is very important. And I know that our local schools will support still having them there because there's been incidents that has happened and the officers are there to radio in, rescue, and they're able to, help what's going on. So thank you again for what you're doing and just continue the great work.
Thank you. All right, so we'll close the public hearing now and go back to Councilwoman Bailey.
I don't think we've ever received so many kudos in one day. No, sorry. But it was going to be a question to see if you ever included daycares or preschools, or if it was only elementary through.
It's anywhere where it has to be somewhere that has a designated school zone. So if whatever daycare has a designated school zone, then we're allowed to install.
I don't think then any
Usually they
daycares
don't.
ever have. Okay.
Because typically daycares, they're not walking to school. They're being, right. So,
Yeah, unless they go through, okay.
correct.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes,
you mentioned the power of social media. Can I get one more minute? I want to read something to you real quick.
absolutely.
So this was posted, Miami-Dade County put a post out announcing the beginning of their warning period for the 10 or so cameras we put up. And this gentleman, I'm not going to say his name, but this gentleman wrote in as a comment, a hack to avoid speed camera tickets. To all those concerned about the new school speed cameras, I have a foolproof method to avoid getting caught. Unlike obstructing your license plate, this hack is entirely legal. However, there's one crucial piece of information you need before applying it: the exact speed limit on the road in question. Here's how it works. As you approach the camera-equipped school zone, force your speedometer to read at or below the posted limit. There are various methods to achieve this, depending on your vehicle. If you're unsure about your vehicle's workings, this method will work on all vehicles. First, locate the long, skinny pedal. Slowly lift your foot. As the pedal lifts, you'll notice that the speedometer is displaying a lower speed. If it's not working fast enough, gently press down on the wide, flat pedal. Once the speed reaches the speed limit, lift your foot and maintain constant pressure until you exit the school zone. Voila! You've successfully tricked the camera into thinking you're not speeding. This method works every time. It goes to what you had said just a minute ago, reminding me of this post, which I also kept.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Do we have a motion to approve on second reading? Moved by Councilwoman Avila, seconded by Councilman Cannonball. Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Bailey? Yes. Councilwoman Avila? Yes. Councilman Davis?
Yes.
Councilman Roth? Yes. Councilman Cannibal? Yes. Vice Mayor Fletcher?
Yes.
Mayor Lawson?
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, so we need to do some business. I think we need to move to extend the meeting until 9:30. Let's say 9:35. Let's take a 5-minute break and take it to 9:35. Moved to 9:35 and seconded. All in favor? 5-minute recess.
Oh, boy. I'm so tired.
All right, we're on. Recess is over. I think we're on tab 14, car number 4409. Mr. Pearl?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Tab 14 is the second reading of an ordinance of the City of Homestead, Florida, amending the budget for the general fund for the fiscal year beginning October 1, 2024, and ending September 30th, 2025, by decreasing the total budgeted revenues and expenditures by $2,372,264, providing for severability and an effective date.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Manager.
So I think this is a very self-explanatory item. We got guided by the county that we're receiving certain level of addition of revenues from the property values. They were deemed incorrect. So this item is simply to amend the budget to reflect that reduction.
Very good. Moved by Councilwoman Avila, seconded by the Vice Mayor. Any public comment? Not appearing. I'll close the public hearing and ask for a roll call.
Councilman Davis?
Yes.
Councilwoman Bailey? Yes. Councilwoman Avila?
Yes.
Councilman Roth?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Fletcher?
Yes.
Mayor Losner?
Yes.
Motion carries.
And first reading of tab 15 regarding the installation of temporary construction fences with screening. Mr. Pearl.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Tab 15 is the first reading of an ordinance of the City of Homestead, Florida, amending the City Code of Ordinances by amending Chapter 6, Buildings and Building Regulations, Article 4, Fences, to establish requirements for construction sites and temporary perimeter fences, providing for severability, providing for inclusion in the code, providing for conflicts, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you, sir. I know we had some comment at one of our last couple of meetings. Councilwoman Avila, you've brought this forward. Is there anything you'd like to add or brief us on?
I just want to thank the estate's owner. The next day, the fence was up, so it works, okay? I appreciate staff, again, for helping me to curate the reso and legal. Thank you very much, and to my colleagues for supporting the item. I appreciate it.
Very good.
So moved.
Thank you. Any public comment? Didn't think so. We'll close the public hearing. Motion by Councilwoman Avila, second by Councilwoman Bailey. Let's have a roll call.
Councilman Roth? Yes. Councilwoman Bailey? Yes. Councilman Cannibal? Councilwoman Avila? Yes. Councilman Davis? Yes. Vice Mayor Fletcher?
Yes.
Mayor Losner?
Yes.
Motion carries.
And first reading of tab 16, which is lobbyist registration and principal fee amendment. Mr. Pearl?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. This is first reading of an ordinance of the City of Homestead, Florida, amending the City Code of Ordinances by amending Chapter 2, Administration, Article 8, Lobbying Activities, to increase lobbyist registration fees and principal fees, providing for severability, providing for inclusion in the code, providing for conflicts, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you, Council. I know we've all been briefed individually on this. Is it okay to waive the staff report? All right, I don't see any lobbyists in the room, so let's stick it to them while they're not here. Moved by the Vice Mayor, seconded by Councilman Davis. Any public comment? Okay, I'll close the public hearing. Let's have a roll call vote.
Councilwoman Bailey? Councilwoman Avila? Councilman Roth? Councilman Davis? Councilman Cannibal? Vice Mayor Fletcher?
Yes.
Mayor Losner?
Twist that knot. Yes.
Motion carries.
All right. First reading of tab 17, the true-up of last year's budget. Mr. Pearl?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Tab 17 is the first reading of an ordinance of the City of Homestead, Florida, amending the budgets for each of the several departments within the general fund with an overall net zero effect on the total budget of the general fund of the city for the fiscal year beginning October 1, 2023, and ending September 30th, 2024, providing for repealer, severability, and an effective date.
Thank you.
Mayor and Council, this is traditionally it's done annually in November. This is considered the true-up by state statutes. We have within 60 days after the end of the fiscal year to true up any departments or funds of the city that are possibly going to be going over their budgeted amounts. And this year we had basically only two divisions within the general fund, that being the city managers and the city attorneys. The city managers was for obvious reasons. When we had the outgoing city manager, we had a severance pay that was paid out that was unexpected. And then with the city attorney, we traditionally budget $1 million, but historically we've averaged about $1.3 million Usually the $1 million covers the normal stuff. The other is usually litigation and other special projects. And again, this is just precaution. We're not saying that that's what's expended, but it's just a projection, and we leave it as a cushion. So.
Very good, thank you. Questions from council? Anyone from the public wishing to speak or ask a question? We'll close the public hearing and ask for a motion to approve on tab 18. Moved by Councilman Ross, seconded by Councilwoman Avila. Let's have a roll call.
Councilwoman Avila? Yes. Councilman Ross? Yes. Councilwoman Bailey? Councilman Cannibal? Councilman Davis? Vice Mayor Fletcher?
Yes.
Mayor Losner?
Yes.
Motion carries.
And tab 19, which is kind of a
No,
related
we're on-
item. Let him read the title first.
No, we're on 18 now. This is
18.
first reading of 18. This is the first reading of an
Getting ahead
ordinance.
of myself already.
The
All right.
first
ahead.
reading of an ordinance of the City of Homestead, Florida, amending the budgets for each of the several funds and departments of the city for the fiscal year beginning October 1, 2024, and ending September 30th, 2025, by increasing the total budgeted revenues and expenditures by $17,084,569, providing for repealer, severability, and an effective date.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Perez.
This is basically amending the 25 budget for unexpended funds from 24 that had been encumbered for mostly capital projects. A perfect example of this is for the new substation for the electric utility. If you recall, towards the end of the fiscal year, we did two things. We went out and we borrowed some money, about $5.1 million, and we also awarded a contract for about $7.2 million. Those were done towards the end of the year. The budget had already been prepared, so basically those funds, as an example, it's being reappropriated in 25.
Very good, thank you. Anyone wishing to comment on this item? Okay, the public hearing is closed. We have a motion. Moved by Councilwoman Bailey. Second by Councilman Roth. Roll call, Madam Clerk. That's right.
Councilman Davis? Yes. Councilwoman Bailey? Yes. Councilman Cannibal? Yes. Councilman Roth? Yes. Councilwoman Avila? Yes. Vice Mayor Fletcher?
Yes.
Mayor Losner?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Now we're at tab 19.
Yes, sir. Tab 19 is the first reading of an ordinance of the City of Homestead, Florida, amending the budget for the general fund of the city for the fiscal year beginning October 1st, 2024, ending September 30th, 2025, by increasing the total budgeted revenues and expenditures by $1,132,450, providing for repealer, severability, and an effective date.
Thank you. Since we only get to hear from Mr. Perez a couple times a year.
This is the last amendment for the night. This is an accompanying car item to the next tab, and basically it's to provide funding for the citywide permitting licensing. We had set aside $400,000 in ARPA funds. We also had $138,000 on hand from previous years, but unfortunately the expense is a lot more than those. So basically for fiscal year 25, what we're asking to is a budget amendment using reserves from fund balance. Normally we don't come to council and try to ask for that. That's usually for recurring items. This is one of those examples where it's primarily like a one-time cost. The recurring cost for 25 and 26 will be folded into the budget when we prepare the budget for those years.
Very good, thank you. Any comments from the public? Close the public hearing. Council, questions, comments? Moved by Councilman Roth. Second by Councilwoman Avila. Roll call on tab 19.
Councilwoman Avila? Yes. Councilman Davis? Yes. Councilman Roth?
Yes.
Councilwoman Bailey? Councilman Cannibal? Vice Mayor Fletcher?
Yes.
Mayor Losner?
Yes.
Motion carries.
And moving on to tab 20, Mr. Pearl.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, tab 20 is a resolution of the City Council of the City of Homestead, Florida, authorizing the city manager to negotiate and execute a software service agreement with Tidal Technologies, Inc. for enterprise permitting and licensing software, exempting the transaction from competitive bidding in accordance with Section 2-411.1A5 of the City Code, providing for implementation and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. Mr. Manager.
So, Mr. Mayor and Council, this item is actually a companion item to the one you just voted. So this is going to give us the ability to use a piggyback contract with Sourcewell for citywide electronic permitting. We had a budget already established for $400,000 using APA funds and a CIP fund of $138,000. The shortfall is what we are asking for, which you just voted for us to use. So this is simply to award the contract for the procurement. Anything you want to add?
Sure.
Assuming some of the unfamiliar faces are here to talk about this item. You had to suffer through our whole night for this. Well, as long as you came down and you sat here all night, you might as well come up and tell us about it. We'll be here for the first 5. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Well, good evening, Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council, Madam Clerk, and Mr. City Manager. My name is Garth Magnus. I'm a Senior Account Executive with Tyler. I've covered the state of Florida for 20 years. Hard to believe it's been that long. I'm honored to be here tonight. I put together a brief presentation, as I said, 45 minutes. You should have a copy, I think, of a handout in front of you as well. I'm going to talk briefly about information about the company, our footprint here in the state of Florida, as well as the products that we're proposing to implement here at the city to help modernize your operations for development services, code compliance, public works right-of-way, and online citywide payments. I'll take questions at the end. So first, I'll begin with a couple of comments just about the company. So Tyler is the largest public sector software company in the United States. We're a publicly traded company. We do about $2 million in revenue annually. Our sole focus is on the public sector. It's all we've done for 30 years. And about 40% of our employees actually came from the public sector. I think that gives us a very unique perspective into what modern agencies like the City of Homestead expect out of an application such as the one that we're proposing. We invest about $10 million every year back into our product to make sure that it's always remaining relevant and modern to our customers. That's very important to us. Your current application is fairly antiquated. I think that it's run its useful life, and our goal is to make sure that we will be the last software you folks would ever buy from a permitting and licensing perspective. Our software is designed specifically for the public sector. It's not a CRM system that's been manipulated or modified to track permitting and licensing operations. We have an expansive client base and an expansive user community that plays a key role in how we develop our application over time. As I mentioned on the last slide, we're committed to being innovative and making sure that our solution, again, is always modern and serving the needs of your constituents and your employees here at the city. Tyler is a one-stop shop. So what does that mean? That means we design, develop, implement, and support our products. The benefit of that is if there's an issue with it, you're coming to one company for resolution as opposed to 4 or 5 companies. And that can be a huge deal over time with a software company. So ultimately, that's going to provide a better experience for y'all and certainly illustrates the value we place on the client-vendor relationship in perpetuity. As I mentioned a couple of slides ago, our footprint is expansive. We know, we understand the public sector. We have clients in all 50 states, in the U.S., Canada, the Caribbean, Bermuda, Australia, and several other international locations. Again, that just solidifies our understanding of what modern local government organizations expect. Furthermore, we understand Florida. Footprint here in the state is unmatched by any other vendor. We have a total of 436 local and state level government organizations that are using our solution here in the state. Again, this gives us a unique understanding into the specific rules and regulations that are applicable in Florida, as well as what Florida clients expect. And so that's important to us. I also included on the next slide just some local cities and counties close to you guys that are benefiting currently from the solutions that we're proposing. You probably recognize many of those already. So now turning our attention specifically to this engagement, I think as Ms. Brown noted earlier, so the goal here is to implement what's called Tyler Enterprise Permitting and Licensing to replace the city's existing Community Plus application, as well as several other ancillary shadow systems. There are several departments that are involved in this with respect to scope. So I wanted just to mention those very quickly. First is development services. So that's going to be permitting, planning, BTR, inspections, those folks, as well as code compliance, public works with respect to right-of-way permitting, solid waste with respect to roll-off functionality, and energy with respect to solar permitting. And then lastly, a huge part of this initiative is to move to a consolidated citywide online payment provider, and we're providing that functionality under the Tyler umbrella as well. I'm going as quick as I can. And then lastly, so over the past few months, we've been here a lot. I cannot count the number of times that I've been down to meet with you folks and had a series of demos and workshops, and we worked collectively with Kimar and her team to identify a core set of, I guess, outcomes that we think really define success with a project like this. I wanted to just to point out really 2 or 3 of these, not all 5. But the first one, so the city's current development services environment is fragmented. And it's really not standardized around a single system. There's no global source of truth, I guess, is a good way to say that, which creates a lot of inefficiencies, redundant data entry, and many manual processes. So one of the primary objectives is for us to provide a singular, comprehensive, and integrated solution to manage your business functions. And our EPL solution certainly is going to fulfill that objective. Secondly, the city's current online presence with respect to development services is fairly limited, I would say. It doesn't provide the accessibility that customers expect this day and age. So again, another objective for us is to make these services more available online in an ADA compliant perspective. And our civic access portal certainly is going to meet that objective. And then lastly, again, a huge part of this, as I mentioned a couple of slides ago, is to centralize the payment processing online citywide using credit cards, ACH, and that sort of thing. And the cool thing about Tyler is we do that as well as a company. So we're an authorized merchant services provider. We handle all aspects of the onboarding process. So again, that'll be transformational, I think, for the city as well. I have other slides I was going to talk about, but you guys are tired, so I'll take any questions you have. Happy to do that, or Kumar, if you have anything you'd like to add. Any questions for
Thank
me?
you. Council? Questions? Comments? Councilwoman.
Thank you. I'm very happy to see that we're moving forward into what feels like should have been done many, many, many moons ago. Will this fix the instances, and probably a question for staff, will this fix instances where, for example, we heard testimony from someone from the public regarding a restaurant? They were paying their BTR renewals, paying the fees. We were billing, they were paying, and guess what? They were not getting a BTR in the mail. They didn't know that it was because of a violation or whatever issue, but will this system fix those kinds of problems?
I think it will provide a level of transparency that maybe does not exist currently. So they'll understand if there's an existing code violation, or maybe a fee that's outstanding that prevents them from getting that BTR. And there's a lot of automated notifications that happen. So if something's not happening, it will notify the business owner to remind them you've got an outstanding fee. There's a code violation that needs to be resolved. So I would say from that perspective, that would be my response.
So it's, Councilwoman, it's layered with the system and the processes that we define, right? In the specific example that was mentioned earlier, our processes, which is facilitated by the system, does not have a way to distinguish at the time of renewal if I have a violation. And therefore, the system sends out, we send out notification, and only when they pay do we block, right? So systematically, yes, but above and beyond the system, it really becomes a matter of the processes that we define and configure within the application. So the intent is to provide better processes and utilize or leverage the system for the functionality that it affords.
Thank you. You know, not only is it important for us systematically to have the integration for speed and for efficiency within the different departments, but at the end of the day, the end user is the public, the residents, the business owners, and when we're investing over $2 million into programs, I would expect for those nuances to be easily avoided. So keeping up with that, I did have some other questions, but that could be between us and other additional briefings. But thank you for sticking out through the evening for us.
And I'm happy to take more if anyone has any other questions.
Vice Mayor.
Not a specific question for you, sir, but more so welcoming this product to be moving our city forward. I did notice that we have Phase 1 and Phase 2 through 2026. Again, you know me, I'm Mr. Efficiency. If there's a way we can do it faster, quicker, better, let's try to move as quickly as we can. As always, thank you.
Any other comments from council? Questions? Well, my only comment would be is that you get the prize for the understatement of the night. Your system is fairly antiquated. That's the understatement of the
I want
night.
to be respectful.
So that was accurate in 2001, be that as it may. So do we have any public comment? I'll close the public hearing and ask for a motion to approve. All right, moved by Councilman Cannonball, seconded by Councilwoman Bailey. Roll call.
Councilwoman Bailey? Councilman Roth? Councilwoman Avila? Councilman Cannibal? Councilman Davis? Vice Mayor Fletcher?
Yes.
Mayor Losner?
Yes.
Motion carries.
And thank you all for sitting through the
Absolutely. Thank you.
first part of the meeting. Thanks for coming down. I just want, we've deferred tab 21. I just want to make, for me, and I requested this, I haven't had the time to finish my review. Academically, I think, and philosophically, it's a good plan, and architecturally, I've got to have some assurances, and I'm going to have my questions ready, and I would encourage all of you to have your questions ready as to the relationship between if the plan were to be adopted, containing the height and densities and the density and height bonuses that are within that plan. What is the interplay with that, with Live Local, the RTZ? Are we defeating some of the safeguards we've already put in place? And are those really heights and densities that our residents really want to see adopted? So that's where I would kind of like to see, that's where my conversation will go on December 4th, and those questions. And I know that between now and then, Matt and James will, be tired of hearing from me. Yeah, he went on. So that's kind of like, that's where I would like to go. If it were put in front of me tonight to adopt as is, I could not support it, just with those unanswered questions. So I hope that we can have some real detailed review and back and forth on the 4th. All right, moving on to tab 22. Car number 4448, and this is a Transportation Alternative Program grant.
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Squirrel?
Tab 22 is a resolution of the City Council of the City of Homestead, Florida, authorizing the city manager to apply for the Transportation Alternatives Program grant with the Florida Department of Transportation, providing for an effective date.
Moved by Councilman Roth, seconded by the Vice Mayor. Any further questions? Any public comment? We'll close the public hearing and have a roll call vote.
Councilwoman Bailey? Councilman Cannibal? Councilman Roth?
You got permission to go get those grants.
Exactly, that's what it is. It's simply a resolution to allow the administration
Right,
to
get her
apply
done
for
is what
grants. Yeah, it's people, it's money.
Councilman Davis? Councilwoman Avila? Vice Mayor Fletcher?
Yes.
Mayor Losner?
Yes.
Motion carried.
And tab 23, Mr. Pearl.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Tab 23 is a resolution of the City Council of the City of Homestead, Florida, approving the Consolidated Annual Performance Evaluation Report for the fiscal year 23-24, the CAPER, authorizing the transmittal of the CAPER to U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, providing for implementation and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. It's been moved. Councilwoman Avila, Seconded by Councilman Roth. Briefly, Mr. Manager, is there anything we really need to know that,
I think it's good.
okay. Good. When this manager says, no, I think it's good, that's an understatement of the day, too. So let's have a roll call vote on tab 23.
Councilman Roth? Councilwoman Avila? Councilman Davis? Councilman Carnival? Councilwoman Bailey? Vice Mayor Fletcher?
Yes.
Mayor Lausner?
Yes.
Motion carries.
And tab 24, Mr. Pearl.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, tab 24 is a resolution of the City Council of the City of Homestead, Florida, approving an addendum to the agreement with Enco Utility Services for call center support services pursuant to City Code Section 2-411B, exemptions from competitive bidding, providing for implementation, providing for an effective date.
All right. Right. Do we have a motion? Moved by Councilman Avila, seconded by Cannonball, his turn. Any public comment? Let's have a roll call.
Councilwoman Bailey? Councilman Carnival? Councilman Roth? Councilman Davis? Councilwoman Avila? Vice Mayor Fletcher?
Yes.
Mayor Lausner?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, so does that take us to 25?
Yes, sir.
All right, Mr. Pearl.
Tab 25 is a resolution of the City Council of the City of Homestead, Florida, approving the settlements of all claims made by Urban Green, providing for implementation, providing for an effective date.
Moved by Councilman Roth, seconded by the Vice Mayor. We've been briefed on this litigation matter. Any public comment? We'll close the public hearing and have a roll call vote.
Councilman Roth? Yes. Councilwoman Avila? Yes. Councilman Davis? Yes. Councilwoman Bailey? Councilman Carnival? Yes. Vice Mayor Fletcher?
Yes.
Mayor Lausner?
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, Mr. Manager, any further business?
Just a friendly reminder that on Saturday, November 23rd, Council and the city will be hosting the Orange Bowl turkey giveaway, 9 o'clock in the morning.
Right. I think it's 9 to noon.
9 to noon,
Or
yes.
while supplies last.
Yeah.
What time do they need us there?
Well before 9. I guess we'll get some information through your staff or our council assistants as to details. Yes. Yeah, they'll be lined up before 7. All right, Mr. Attorney?
I believe Councilwoman Jennifer Bailey is going to be advising us on an event on Thanksgiving Day.
Your business. All right, Mr. Attorney?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to request one executive session in the matter of Asbury and Holmes v. the City of Homestead. It's case number 22-000538 in Miami-Dade County Circuit Court.
Very good. Let's make it happen. All right. That conclude your business? Councilwoman Avila.
Thank you, Mayor. I have several thank yous. I'm very thankful this month of November for staff, our Parks and Recs, our team, for the beautiful Veterans Day celebration event. Thank you, Mayor and Council, for supporting that item and being present. To our sponsors, Homestead Hospital, Brightview, Kiwanis, Mayor Levine Cava, Commissioner Keone McGee, and of course the South Florida Youth Symphony for putting on a tremendous show, great caliber of entertainment, and just an opportunity for the youth in our community to see things that they might not otherwise be exposed to. And what a fantastic ending with that drone show.
Oh.
Fabulous. So just thank you for that. The pop-up eateries, it really all came together very well. And I was hopeful for a good turnout based on last year, but I was wildly impressed with the show of support from the community. So I look forward to next year. So thank you for that. Thank you to staff and my colleagues and the Mayor's Youth Council for supporting the Spotlight on D5 tonight with our Chick-fil-A dinner service. I hope you all enjoyed it. God said, get chicken. And I was like, okay. And look at the amount of people that showed up tonight. Totally unexpected. And I have no leftovers. Well, I think there's some salad left over if you guys want. But that was something that just kind of came to mind. And I thought to myself, what a nice way to represent my district, support a new business, encourage people to attend our city hall meetings, and so I encourage my colleagues to do the same. Let's pick a district, a restaurant in each district, and bring some fun to City Hall in that way. I want to also thank staff and council for your support in the Waterstone tree lighting ceremony that happened last weekend. Beautiful event. I know many of you were out of town or not able to attend, but my colleague, Councilman Canaval, was with me with his beautiful wife, Senator Ana Maria Rodriguez, and it was a treat to see the District 5 community come together. It's open to the public event, but we supported in many ways, and so I appreciate all of that was done. And to the Waterstone community for recognizing me for their, and their appreciation in the way that they did. I do appreciate that. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Happy birthday to my husband, Arnold, who tends to not get to enjoy his birthday during Thanksgiving, but this weekend it's on Sunday, so happy birthday to you, honey. And I look forward to holiday in Losner Park on December 7th, so see you there. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. A couple little things. One quick question to staff. Tomorrow is the official Give Miami Day. How does that affect organizations that we typically sponsor things for? Would that be something that both the state and us would, if we're already supporting these local businesses that are part of Give Miami Day, can we as a government entity donate to them and then the state is matching something?
I think it's something we may have to look into the modality. You don't want to give money through the Give Miami Day and give again because you might count twice.
I was curious about that because it just dawned on me, we've never taken that into account, and it's a lot of organizations, especially now.
Perhaps what we can do going forward is for council to decide whatever allocation or appropriation we make in the budget, direct staff to hold it until we get to Give Miami Day and do it through Give Miami Day to get the extra credit.
Super. Well, if you don't mind putting something together and then share that information with all of us, because I know that their terms change a little bit each year, that we can know how much additional these organizations would be getting. So on that note, tomorrow through Together for Children, we're hosting a Give Miami Day cafe at the FOP. It's going to be our second year. Thank you very much to PD for lending us the building again. Last year it was a great success. A lot of these organizations are small. It's single people sitting in their office just sending out mass messages throughout the day to encourage people to donate towards their causes. So this is just a fun way. And speaking of supporting local businesses, we will have Yardie Spice there. We'll also have Get Your Roll On. We'll have an ice cream cafecito social at around 3 p.m. The event itself is from 1 to 5, and I would absolutely love if my colleague, City Manager's Office, can stop in. A lot of these organizations are the ones that are doing great big things for us in our city, so I think it would mean a lot to them. The second thing is our second annual Thanksgiving Day breakfast and lunch at FICO Williams. Last year, the Schultz Foundation, who are now going into their 18th annual, they said that they wanted to do something down south, and we had a great partnership last year, so they decided that they wanted to continue this. I know that on Thanksgiving is a big ask, but nothing starts your Thanksgiving Day off better than knowing that you helped serve some families who might have not been able to afford their own Thanksgiving or didn't have anybody to share in a meal with. So please come volunteer for just a little while, whether it's breakfast or lunch. We're going to have 3 different stations celebrating Mexican, Haitian, and American style Thanksgivings. So I'm very excited about turkey enchiladas, not tacos, enchiladas, turkey enchiladas. So yes, if you want more information, please reach out to me. But there's a morning time and an afternoon time. And the very last thing is that Homestead is wonderful at networking and sharing information and helping each other out. And one thing that we are not doing a good job at all is with reporting crimes. On November 16th, there was a 9-year-old boy who was shot and killed off Lucy Street. No information has been given, and that it is appalling, it is disgusting. And I urge you all to please share on your social medias the Crime Stopper flyer, because we need to change that mentality of not sharing information. Somebody must have seen something, and for this 9-year-old boy's family to still be trying to find answers is terrible. So please, on this Thanksgiving, consider what we can do in trying to help this family at least close that. Thank you very much, and happy Thanksgiving. I'm thankful for you all. Have a great night.
Thank you. Councilman Campbell?
Happy Thanksgiving.
Councilman Davis?
Thank you, Mayor. I just have a couple points. I would concur with my colleague. This was an outstanding Veterans Day event, and a lot of the veterans, we get up and we talk smack about everything. But I'll tell you, I couldn't talk smack about that Veterans Day celebration. And it was so well done. And I keep saying the Homestead's the most supportive community in the nation to military, and I mean it, because it really is. So I thank you very much to staff and colleagues for putting it together and just having such a great time with our community. I do have two requests. On behalf of a constituent, I was researching CareerSource, and I found out that CareerSource no longer comes to Homestead. They used to have an office, then they used to have a mobile unit, but they no longer come here. And that has a big impact. It has a big impact to our military spouses as the military side PCS is in. Spouses are frequently looking for positions. Also, that means that the unemployed in our community got to trek all the way to Cutler Bay to go there. When you're unemployed, you don't have money for gas for that. It needs to come to us. And I would request the city manager if you would please to research that, because I can't imagine it's too tough to do. But they need to come back here. At least their mobile unit needs to come back to Homestead. I'm sorry, go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
So, CareerSource is actually captured in the current budget. So I have already reached out to the executive director, Rick Beasley. He's going to be coming to the city, I think, next week to discuss the modalities for them to reestablish their presence in the city. So to the effect about funding, we have money already in the budget. So it's just for him to come back and tell us the modalities and what kind of programming, location, schedule, and timing in order to effectuate his coming back. So I have it on good authority from him that they're coming.
Thank you. Thank you very much. My second issue is, again, between the police department and the city manager. First of all, Colonel and team, thank you so much for a great tour of the police station, of all the various departments in the police station. I'll tell you, it was so reassuring to see so many people so proud of what it is they do. And from the high-speed, low-drag detectives to the guys who view the body cams, and blur out the faces, everybody's proud of what they do and get the impact of what they do to our community. That was a great tour, and I thank you very much for that in the briefing. Along with that, I would request something, and through the city manager, of course. I think it'd be very wise for us, and Councilwoman Bailey brought up the issue of crime. There's always going to be crime in our city, correct? But you know what? We need to be getting those types of crime reports again. And a quarterly report, bi-monthly report, for example, that shows levels of crime between you and the city manager. You can select those things that most represent the city. We can look at that. We can see what's going on. I know you can dice the numbers up, variously with your computer programming, but I would very much like to see that, and perhaps a presentation to the city council to say this is where we stand in Homestead. And I would say that is not at all pejorative. That is saying this is an outstanding job the Homestead Police is doing, and we need to publicize, we need to show everybody what a good job is going on. I would say that in District 1, we had an issue where a fellow was going down the street and jumping out and going into cars that were unlocked, that kind of stuff. 96 hours later, maybe, that guy's in handcuffs. And good job, good on it. That's the story we need to tell to our community, along with sometimes it's unattractive things as well. but there's no way for us to deal with it until we get them out. So thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Councilman Roth.
Can I jump? Sorry, very quick, thank you. Colonel Kennedy just let me know that there was an arrest made. So thank you very much for that information, and thank God. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor, and I just want to recognize PD for their recognition by the FBI for that bank robber. Hello. Thought he could get away, we didn't. Well, thank you for what you do.
Councilman Roth.
I only got like 30 minutes worth of stuff. You guys ready for that? Nobody's here. Oh, they all left. Just a couple of things. First of all, thank you for the city staff, the police department, Parks and Rec, everybody who was involved in not only the Sunday Veterans Day celebration, but the parade on Monday. The flyover was spectacular. I don't know about that guy, but it was a good event. I think it showed, that, as Councilman Davis said, Homestead really does support the military, active and veterans. And if you didn't get to the ceremony part, that's usually very moving. And I got to be the MC for that. And I wasn't prepared for what they gave me to read. And when it started, to talk about the service members that were killed that lived in our area, it got really touching. And it said it a few times, and I just wasn't prepared for that, but muscled through it, and we got through it. So thank you for everybody who did that. This is also the time of Thanksgiving, and there are, aside from the Give Miami Day thing that's going on tomorrow, if you have the ability to share some of your blessings with others, I encourage you to do so. I'm not going to recommend any specific organizations, but if you do have blessings that you can share, please do that with somebody, especially this time of year as we go into Thanksgiving, into the holidays. I do want to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving. I'm blessed to know all of you and to work with you, and I wish all of you the best and your families the best, great health, and just enjoy that turkey. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilman. Vice Mayor.
Yes, thank you, and I too echo the thoughts of my colleagues, but I do have a few items tonight it's going to extend us hopefully not past 9:35. I don't want to take out of your time. I did get some notifications late today. I'm sorry for the late notification, but there were some questions about bicycles on sidewalk enforcement on Chrome Avenue. We have signs that are posted, but we've had a couple of close calls, I guess, with some people walking out of businesses. Is there something we can do, maybe look at installing some bollards or something to prevent the bicycles from getting on the sidewalk? Something to look at. Don't need an answer tonight. Pedestrian sign, now this is something I asked the previous city manager and staff, and not a whole lot happened with it, but pedestrian signage with the blinking lights along Chrome Avenue. We definitely need to look at that again and see where I believe there's some state permitting issues we have to go through in order to get that done on the state road, but let's look at that again, please, along with road striping along at the intersections. And I know we have some new things going on in Chrome Avenue with the landscaping, but we might have to put some temporary measures in place in order to safeguard some of the community. The parking lot behind Edison Furniture, where are we at with moving that forward, paving it, walling it off? I don't need an answer tonight, but it's not in very good shape, and we could use some additional parking downtown. We made a big step tonight in moving forward the electronic permitting process. I'm going to jump on my original statement from 5 years ago when I first got elected. The city code, the city code, the city code. We need to start budgeting to move forward with rewriting the city code. Again, more assignments, lots of fun. We got lots of work to do here in the city of Homestead, so we have job security. This just popped up as well again tonight. Whatever happened to the lighting replacement project here at City Hall? The outside, we talked about it. We took took it down because it was like $1.5 million, and we said, go redo it. This was before your time, so you may not even know about it. But we need to relook at that. There was talk about redoing all the electrical lighting on the outside of City Hall. It was crazy money. We could do it. Let's take a look at that again.
So if I may, on the outside lighting, I've had conversation with staff to look into, there's a permanent lighting system that we implemented at the Miami City Hall that has different types of coloring. Depending on the celebration and the month, you can change the color. If it's breast cancer month, you change the color to that. If it's LGBTQ, you change to the rainbow side. So that was the way we spent heavy capital initial outlay funds, but that saved us a lot of headache and a lot of extra money to keep on doing it every other month. So it's a permanent installation, or it's just to use a switch inside the building. So I had asked one of my colleagues to look into that, and I'll follow up with another colleague since he's no longer with us.
Right, but to the Vice Mayor's point, also, a lot of the the surface mounted lighting was improperly installed and water intruded, and it was a ridiculous amount of money. But again, in those days, we were not on the more beneficial bid platform that those numbers came in, outrageous numbers.
Yes.
Yeah.
So just to keep that on everybody's back burner, I too wanted to ask the police department in regards to the crime reports. I had a request from one of the homeowners associations. They used to get them quarterly, Keysgate, and they're just asking to get those again. This was Mr. Gonzalez with Keysgate.
Yes, sir. We'll go ahead and make sure that's taken care of.
And I don't know if everybody's gotten this yet from the city manager's staff, but this great little bi-monthly report is excellent information. Maybe we can put those crime stats in here, but there's a lot of good information in here that follows up on things we've asked about. So I really do appreciate that.
And it helps you realize the progress we've made and the
Yes.
projects we're doing.
Yes. One of the things I'm going to bring it up tonight. Don't want to go into real detail about it, but because I'm not going to be the most popular guy when we do go into this. But when we start looking at selling some of our city assets and things down the line, or when we do auctions of equipment and things of that nature, typically I don't know where those funds go back into the general fund, what have you. But long term, I'm a fiscal responsible person, and I'm looking at trying to save the taxpayers' money. So I would like to look at providing a resolution in the future that when we sell city assets, that we take a percentage of that. Would that be 1 to 10% or what have you? It goes into a special council fund, a trust fund, that we can utilize for these Give Miami Days, for special events. We need to start looking at the money that the taxpayers give us. And we're giving, personal, each of us give money to these different organizations from our accounts. And I think it would be more apt if we do it from a large account rather than individually. And we're starting to really look at the dollars that the citizens of Homestead are paying us, and we're using those for city activities. And we're lowering their taxes in the future, or we're lowering their costs. So let's have that discussion, but it's definitely one of those things. It seems like when we give these individual groups from our own personal accounts, it's almost like a political favor, and I don't like that look. So I think if we do it all together and we're making that move together as a group, it looks much better. So last night I had the opportunity to meet with an outstanding group of young people here at City Hall, and it was the Mayor's Youth Council. I had my briefing with the city manager. I stepped in. We had actually taken their meeting space, so they actually had their meeting in Miss Bailey's office. But I can tell you that they were very engaged individuals. They're interested in how the city is growing. It's their future. I asked them to tell me what they would do different and better, and they're going to get us a list. And they're going to start coming to but one of the things they pointed out to me that was one of the things we've been asking for forever. They said, we need safe entertainment in the city of Homestead. They're tired of going to Kendall and Miami for fun. We don't have that entertainment district for them. So as part of our look down the road and the charrette and things of that nature, but these are our future, and they're the ones asking about this. And finally, again, the manager already accepted it, but or already told everyone about it again, but the Family Fall Festival, Saturday, 9 a.m. Last year, there were 500 turkeys they gave away. This year, it's going to be 1,000. There were 1,000 people in line last year, 500 people left with nothing. But let's hopefully we're able to get everybody out there and have a great event. I'm thankful for each of you and what you do as well. I'm sorry I wasn't able to attend a couple of events due to some illness, and I'm going to be out of town for some of the upcoming events. And I'm going to show my veterans pride as well. I'm going to go to the Army-Navy game in December, which is an outstanding event if you ever get the opportunity to go. But with that, happy Thanksgiving, everyone, and sorry to take your time, Mr. Mayor.
That's fine. I don't need any more time than, shorter the better. Well, thank you, Vice Mayor. So, so many of you know I had the opportunity recently at the request of the manager to go inspect and ensure that the William J. Crome statue was properly done and ready to ship. And I'm just so happy to report that it is. We don't want to post any pictures of it. We want to have a big unveiling. It's interesting, though, when you go to different towns. You know, I mentioned, some of you may have heard me talk about, I had the opportunity to go to some of the, what they call the northwest suburbs of Chicago, and how they do things. And I made note that all of their public parking was free, even the parking garage. Well, in downtown Sioux Falls, it's thriving. There are old-fashioned meters at every parking space, and it worked. It was a thriving downtown. But I did realize that they have two things that we really need: a billionaire sugar daddy and a river running through to the downtown. They've got a benefactor out there whose name is on hospitals and schools and all kinds of buildings. And I tell you, the art that, I don't know what the roots of it are, but the art scene out there, and I'll get you the information I brought back. They have a sculpture walk, and they have a national call to artists, and it's a juried selection, and they have permanent, it's really big pieces of rock, the native rock there, probably 3 or 4 in each block up and down their main street, and the winning pieces get mounted on that rock for a year. Some of the businesses sponsor them, but you have information about the piece and the artist. And quite frankly, the artist, the sculpture, was telling me that what makes it work is you take elected officials and city staff out of the mix and let private people deal with it. You set the parameters and keep your hands off of it, and it's been a successful program for about 20 years. So, in case anybody asks, I think we're looking at probably unveiling and dedicating the Crome statue mid-February. Obviously, you know, the artist lives out in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. He is more than happy to come to South Florida in the dead of winter. You know, he stand up and volunteer for that. December 7th, our holiday and homestead tree lighting. I've been involved in some of the planning meetings. It's just going to be incredible, an enhancement of everything we have. By this coming Monday afternoon, we're going to have a fantastic Christmas tree and decor in the lobby of this building. I know we've advertised pictures with Santa for Saturday the 14th and the 21st here. Is a gingerbread contest online? Is that on our website? We're going to have a gingerbread house contest.
It is.
I've been to places where that's been very successful. We really, really want to be festive and are, you know, addressing the needs of the community. And finally, I want to give a shout out to our District 8 Commissioner, Danielle Cohen-Higgins, and our District 7 Commissioner, Raquel Regalado, who today at the commission meeting stood up and defended what I believe are the best interests of Homestead against a proposal that I'm not going to sit here and say there's malicious intent behind it, but I think there are a lot of unintended consequences possible. And as this progresses, we're all going to have to be in the loop as to the impact of the new multi-purpose venue that included a new home for a rodeo. Don't know that that's still in the cards with the county after what happened today. You know, obviously our Homestead Regional Park, so that's, you know, an ever-changing scenario, but I've said this privately, I'm going to say it publicly. I view Commissioner Regalado as our third commissioner. She goes to bat and is really a champion for Homestead against proposals that, in my view, that I tried to express today at the commission meeting, are just not well thought out, not in the best interest of Homestead. Again, happy Thanksgiving. Can't wait to get beyond that first eating holiday and get right into the end of the Christmas season and all the other holidays that go along with it. Yes. That's right. Friday the 6th, the Rotary Club of Homestead is having its annual, it was an excuse to have a smoked prime rib dinner, and what we do is we honor a couple of community leaders and makers. This year, we're honoring Dennis Berry and Robert Moling, and Robert is here. It's at Harris Field at 6:30 that Friday night, kickoff really of the holiday season. You know, in years past, we've had 400 or 500 people there, and we expect to have the same again. So if you're familiar with it or you're not, I invite you to come out. Appreciate that. All right, so with that, again, thank you all. Yes, Vice Mayor.
I'm sorry, guys. You know, I think the mayor is way underplaying what happened today at the county. We have to really start thinking and working with our county representatives, because I don't think they're doing everything in our best interest. I would like us to look at have the staff, the manager and staff, you know, inform or work with the county and tell them our story again and why we believe the proposed location for this new county facility is not the ideal location, and what we were looking at previously is something more to our benefit and to the benefit of the community and the Homestead Rodeo Association. I think the mayor of the county might be willing to work with us a little bit on this one too.
Based on conversations I had with her very early this morning and at 9:30 last night, she will be involved in
Again,
this one.
it's a big deal, and I just think that we definitely need to work together as a group to ensure our stories being told and how we want it, the city of Homestead and our parks and recreation places want to be developed, and we get tired of being the dumping ground for Dade County. I would also like to ask through all of us that we start having the manager look at annexation of some additional areas out east. That help us create a buffer zone, you know, for some of these areas. There's a lot of potential in this city in the future. You know, we have the Space Force designation. You know, we have all that land.
Which was ignored today.
Which was ignored again. We have things that go all the way out to the bay that we haven't really taken into account that would really benefit the city of Homestead. We have the potential for reigniting the foreign trade zone out there near the Speedway. All of these things to help the commercial development out east and better our community. I'm sorry I wasn't able to go with you today to the county. Again, I think it's incumbent upon us each that we need to start going individually. And I know we can't all go at the same time, but I think it's very important that we go and show our face, because we're the future of Dade County. And I'm going to cut it off there. Again, I know it's getting late, but it's important that we definitely let them understand where we stand.
Vice Mayor,
Thank
if I
you.
may, the county meeting was not on my calendar today. So that's one thing that can be done to help us. I mean, shame on me for not following it and putting it on the calendar myself.
This
but-
was a last-minute item that, in lay terms, was snuck onto the agenda.
And that happens. But
And-
if there's a way we can have our assistants make sure that these meetings and any meetings that Mayor and Vice Mayor would like us to have representation present for are on our calendars, then it just allows us to try to plan to be there. It's not always going to be an option. We have day jobs, but if it's not even there,
Yeah.
I'm taken aback.
This, yeah, that's the understatement of the night. It was an extraordinary situation, and the way it came to be heard today tells me that it's not a good idea. It didn't go through the process of the county, and it was waved through by the outgoing chairman. If you want me to be brutally honest, our other commissioner does not support this community. He failed to speak with us, to cooperate with us, and I believe misled us while he was all sunshine and rainbows talking about this new venue. This competing project was being promoted by him on a I think, an utter lack of respect. And I'll leave it at that. We have a motion to adjourn?
Yes, sir.
Thank you all. Good night.